Joining me now, Rebeccah Heinrichs, National Security Analyst and a Hudson Institute Senior Fellow. Rebeccah, always great to have you. This was really interesting today. It started first with that fist bump that some people are saying is insulting under the circumstances, and it's sort of President Biden, giving the wrong message, if you will, to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And then he says that he did address the issue directly, but he smirks when someone says, would he apologize? He doesn't want to take any responsibility for it, obviously. I mean, this is a really difficult situation to be in, and it's not just a political situation, but again, energy issues revolve around this, so it's a business conversation at the same time. And to me, it's not wise of this administration to muddle the two, yet it has, Rebeccah.
Well, first of all, I support President Biden's desire to repair the relationship between his administration and the Saudi government. But that repair only needs to happen because of the unforced error committed by him by coming in and making the huge sort of guiding principle, the extrajudicial killing of Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist. And he made that the defining issue. He did not need to do that. We need the Saudi partnership for all of the reasons you just laid out, to counter Iran, to continue to improve relations between Israel and the Gulf states, so we can have peace in the Middle East. But it is remarkable that you got to know that all of his staff made the decision that they thought a fist bump would seem less intimate than a handshake, when of course it looks more intimate, more casual. It looks like the two of them are old friends. And so, President Biden simply can't seem to get things right when it comes to foreign affairs, which is really interesting considering that he prides himself on being this expert in foreign policy, but he makes a mess out of it every time he makes an attempt overseas. Yeah,
misstep after misstep. So interesting to me. Also interesting is the back and forth, the exchange that was described between them, that President Biden says he brought up Jamal Khashoggi by name, and he indicated that U.S. intelligence believes that it was the Crown Prince that okayed that brutal, really brutal, horrific murder. Crown Prince says, nope, I didn't do it, but I took care of the people who did, and he expects that to be enough. But that's not going to be an answer that is good enough for some of the American people.
Well, it's not. And remember, as horrible as this killing was, it's not even an outlier in terms of the crimes that this authoritarian country commits every day against its own people. It's illegal to be a Christian or a Jew in the entire nation of Saudi Arabia. To convert to either of those religions is a capital offense. So, I mean, we could go on and on and on. We are partners with them because of our shared security interests, not because they are a beacon of human rights. But consider this, as bad as they are, President Biden still preferred to go to them to ask them to pump more oil than he would to turn to our own energy producers and actually get behind them and say, we're going to be energy independent. We are in a time of crisis geopolitically, and this is going to increase our sovereignty and our ability not to be so coerced and compelled by these authoritarian countries that are on the move. So he's still preferred to go that direction than be energy independent. So he's more afraid of the green energy lobby here domestically than he is at upsetting human rights organizations. And he would prefer to go to the Saudis, and be more submissive to them than he is to his own green energy, than to actually turn around and make ourselves energy independent. It's really remarkable.
It is remarkable, and it's a great point, and it makes me think about how he's dealing with Iran, too. It seems to me that it's sort of a similar issue, right? Instead of taking a hardline approach against Iran with sanctions and other measures with respect to its nuclear program, he wants to rejoin the deal that was a bad deal. If you ask me whether or not they were in the deal or not in the deal, they'd still be in the same position that they would be in. They would continue to develop those nuclear weapons. And yet, he's trying to, once again, negotiate. I mean, Iran is a sponsor of terrorism in that region. And it's really difficult to understand why he would take this approach.
Well, again, goes back to these original principles. President Biden has a hard time knowing who our adversaries are and who our friends and necessary partners are. And he came in and identified the Iranians as somebody that he wanted rapprochement with. He wanted to go back to them and re-enter this Iran deal. Of course, the Iranians don't want it. They want more goodies for them. So they don't want to return to the other Iran deal. And to your point, it didn't actually stop their nuclear weapons program. And he went to Israel. And of course, there are lots of press about this Israel meeting, and he took the the Israeli flags off of the limousine, the presidential limousine, when he went into East Jerusalem. Really a snub against the Israeli sovereignty in our move to move the embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. So he had all of these missteps. And again, it's like he doesn't understand that the Abraham Accords, these great diplomatic breakthrough, happened because the previous administration understood Israel was our great, solid democratic partner. The Gulf states like the Saudis are necessary partners to counter Iran, and Iran is the largest, most destabilizing factor and supporter of terrorism throughout the Middle East. He doesn't understand those points, so he might try to go and get some good photo ops on this trip, but unless he fundamentally changes his policy back to continuity from the previous administration, he's not going to get the benefit that they got.
I think you're right. I think he had a tremendous opportunity to seize on the progress that was made with the Abraham Accord and try to move forward in the region, and to a certain degree, he's squandered it. We will have to see how this plays out in the polls as well. Rebeccah Heinrichs, great talking to you today. Thank you.